Is this the end of Tyson Fury? And is it the trash talk that's to blame? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to On Me Edson. I hope you're all well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, Tyson Fury, yes, the WBC champion, the lineal champion. He'll be facing off against Usyk in February 17th. But the press conference, once again this week, just kind of shows how Tyson Fury operates. He operates at that level where it becomes less about generating anticipation for the fight ahead, and it's more about just unbridled trash talk, personal attacks, comments about physical appearance that really goes over the line, that really takes it beyond a place where it really should be. Now, has there been worse trash talk from other boxers in the past? Yeah, absolutely. And certainly not saying that Tyson Fury is the worst of all time. But it's not only the trash talk, it's a lot of the things that he comes out with. And a lot of what he says might be turning people against him is because the kinds of things that he says tends to be against boxing. It tends to be against the spirit of boxing. It tends to be against the competition, about the bouts. The bouts mean nothing to him. The legacy means nothing to him. It's all about the money. And he's been saying this a lot recently. I'm a prize fighter. It's all about the money. I don't care about the legacy. I don't care about what anybody else thinks. So he's kind of adopting this persona where he's just not very likable. And I'm just wondering whether this persona which he has adopted, he's always been a trash talker, of course he has, but it just seems to be a little bit more nasty these days. It seems to be a little bit more driven, a bit more on the defensive, a bit more it's about, I don't care about what anybody else thinks, it's about me. And it's this very attitude that is probably turning a lot of people off. Now, when you compare him to a lot of other boxers of all weight divisions, of course, yeah, there is some trash talking going on there as well. But overwhelmingly, there's always been a respect for your opponent. There's been respect for another boxer's ability, for their track record, the way they've operated in and out of the ring. But a lot of other things have been kept away. They don't really go in for the personal attacks. They don't really start talking about family and personal life. Now, occasionally it does happen. If we remember the Callum Smith against Chris Eubank Jr. first fight, they both admitted that actually they took it too far. The things that they were saying just didn't need to be said, and they kind of apologized for it. The second fight, coincidentally, between Callum Smith and Chris Eubank Jr., yeah, it was a little bit more muted on that front, and quite rightly, it needed to be. Personally, I love boxing. I just don't like the trash talk. I never have done. I think a lot of it is totally unnecessary. I think, yes, you can talk about the other fighter in terms of what you believe, that your ability will be better than theirs. You don't think that they're a decent fighter. You think there are weaknesses in their game or weaknesses in their mental application, whatever the case may be. A press conference should be, yes, it should be business, but also you can make it light-hearted. And fighters can do this. They can make it light-hearted. There's a very famous clip in the UFC where John Jones, I can't remember who else he was going up against, but they had Dana White in the middle of them, and they're going up for the press conference of the face-to-face, and they were staging that they were going to have a fight with each other there and then. And it was playing a trick on Dana White, and they all had a big giggle over it. So I'm not saying that they should do this in boxing, but what I'm saying is, there is no need to get it all really personal. They can just be civilized to a point without crossing the line. And for Tyson Fury, he's probably done it a bit too often. And it's not only him, it's also other people within his camp. And possibly the whole boxing media, they've got a bit fed up of it. The whole boxing public have probably just had enough of it. And then they're starting to think, well, there's a lot of trash talk. There's a lot of you saying, I'm the best heavyweight there's ever been. Nobody can beat me. I'm the baddest man on the planet. Then they start looking at the boxing record. Who have you actually fought? How many times have you fought? And then people start to ask questions. Well, you're saying all this, you're claiming all these things, you're saying all these things in trash talk, but what it appears to us, the boxing fan base, is that a lot of fights you just haven't had. A lot of fights you're kind of just not doing because you just don't think there's any value in it. It's not enough money for you. You've overvalued yourself, and you're not having the fights that could be really tricky. You're just going for the easier options. Now, I'm not saying going up against, Fury is an easy option. But why is it taking the Saudi money for you to get this fight on? If it was all about the fans, you would have done this a long time ago. If it was all about fighting in front of the British fans, then this fight would have happened a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. But it hasn't. The same could be said of Fury against AJ. AJ against Wilder. It's a similar kind of dynamic. There's lots of he said this, he said that. It's not right here. Oh, he's running scared. But fundamentally, the fights don't get made. And it comes down to who's got the biggest purse, who's willing to pay for it, and you're really pulling the wool over the boxing fans' eyes here. And this is where the UFC takes a giant leap forward. There's a lot less of that. There's actually a lot more of, no, you can have all the trash talk you like, but you are going to fight that fighter. You are going to have this matchup. You are going to fight 2, 3, 4 times a year minimum. You cannot dodge this opponent. And so much of that happens in boxing. And at the very top, especially in the heavyweight division, it's been happening too often. There's been too much trash talk. There's been too much from Tyson Fury saying that nobody's good enough. Well, okay, prove that they're not good enough. Fight them. Show us that they're not good enough for you. It doesn't matter that you're only getting a couple of... If money doesn't mean anything to you, if legacy doesn't mean anything to you, if the bouts don't mean anything to you, then, hey, we'll just vacate the bouts if that's the case. But also, just have these fights just to show, hey, listen, I'll do it for 5 million, 2 million, 1 million, who cares? I'll just go in there and fight them and put them all to the sword. But this is a criticism. There's a lot of mouth, there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of trash talk, but when it comes down to it, it's been a bit too much trash talk, too much personal trash talk, and not enough fighting. Now, I'm not sure which side of the fence I sit on this, to be quite honest with you. I do believe that the trash talk is too much. I do believe the tide of popular opinion has probably turned against Tyson Fury, not only because of this, but also linked to his boxing record and the amount of fighting that he's done. I just don't think he's done enough fighting in recent years. And when he comes up against Francis Ngannou and says all the things that he says and puts on that kind of display, and then the things he said since and the way he's acting in the press conference with Alexander Usyk, then you kind of wonder, well, you're not a people's champion. You're not somebody that people want to get behind. And if you're the boxing face of Britain, then many people are thinking, well, we don't really want to support you because you don't represent us. You're only representing yourself. There's no humility there. And I just wonder if this is the reason why Tyson Fury is losing his shine a little bit amongst the boxing public or the boxing fans. He's always going to have his fan base. Of course he will. There'll always be the AJ camp or the Fury camp. But you just wonder, how big are these camps now? Are people thinking, do you know what? I had enough now. And I wouldn't be surprised if many people are going to be rooting for Alexander Usyk in this upcoming fight and not Tyson Fury. They're going to do away with the kind of jingoistic patriotism because they probably think, do you know what? Tyson Fury doesn't care about that. Why should we? We don't care if he's British or not. We just care if he's a good fighter or not. If he can talk the talk and walk the walk. And his last 2 fights, Dean White, Derek Chisora, many people thought that it wasn't really great fight. There weren't really great matchups for him. Against Ngannou, they were probably thinking, do you know what? This was never really going to be a great matchup. He didn't prepare for it properly, although he says he has. And then they look at the performance and you think, well, what are you doing? You're just mocking the whole industry. You're mocking the whole system. You're taking the piss out of us. And we don't like it. So if you take the piss out of us as boxing fans, then there's going to be a bit of blowback. Well, there's going to be a bit of, well, sod you as well. If you don't respect boxing, if you don't respect boxing fans, then you can't expect people to carry on this ride with you. You can't expect boxing fans to carry on with you as well. Now, is this the case? I don't know. As I say, I don't know which side of the fence I sit on this. All I know is I don't personally like the trash talk. Do I still think that Tyson Fury has still got it within him to beat Alexander Usyk? Yeah, I absolutely do. Do I think he's going to come out in this fight against Usyk and prove all the naysayers wrong? Yeah, I kind of do. I don't have a question about his ability. I just question his attitude towards it, his application towards it, and the things that he says. And I know a lot of it in his mind, and maybe in the people's mind around him, think, no, this is just building up the fight. But what it does, it just now, it's been said too often, and it just turns people off supporting him. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Is Tyson Fury taking it too far now with his antics, with the things he says, and with his lack of credible performances in the ring? Or are you still 100% behind Tyson Fury? I still think he's got it within him. From a boxing point of view, I just don't think he's the people's favourite anymore. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I'll catch you again. Bye now.